Sup, SB here for the Marduk report, and today we are talking about a service that can help you in your next case mod. So the company that we're talking about today is called SendCutSend. They're based in Reno, Nevada, and what they do is that they take any of your designs that you send them, laser cut them into different metals, and then send you back parts. Hence the name SendCutSend. Makes sense, right? So for context as to why even I found this company and why I'm telling you about it. So I've been working on a new workstation for about a year now. I've been getting parts and actually doing the building and the modeling because this guy back here is almost 8 years old. I know. It's a 2600K. Like, it's freaking old. It still works just fine, but it's old. So it's time to replace it. And the case that I wanted to actually do my next workstation in is a Corsair 780T because it is my aesthetic. It's a beautiful case, at least from the outside. But internally, it's a 6-year-old case. Internally, it's got 6 mechanical drive bays, 2 5.25 drive bays, and a terrible SSD mounting system. And I was like, nope, this ain't gonna work. This is not gonna work. So ripped all of that out and was like, well, I still actually want to use SSDs and I want to do hardline water cooling. So how do I get all this stuff in here? What I ended up doing was coming up with this lovely design. So as you can see, towards the front of the case, it's got 3 SSDs mounted on a piece of material along with a combo reservoir / distro block. So I was trying to figure out, like, how am I going to mount it on there? What I ended up deciding on was that I was going to just make a plate, a motherboard covered tray plate out of HDPE, or high density polyethylene. This is the stuff that, you know, like that milky white material that you see like cutting boards are made out of, and like a lot of plastic bottles and things like that are made from. It's a really strong material, it's really cheap. So I was like, yeah, I'll definitely just cut one of these. I'll design it, I'll cut it, and it'll be super simple. And by really cheap, I mean, I think I paid like $24 or maybe like $30 for like a 2 foot by 2 foot sheet of 1/4 inch thick white HDPE. So it's really, really cheap, much cheaper than even acrylic. Problem is that, well, there were a couple of problems. A, I don't really have a workspace as evidenced by this B-roll. Like, yeah, that is me trying to, well, not trying, like I actually did cut, I did make a tray, but that is me working on steps, on deck steps as a work table, because I don't have a work table here. Needless to say, it didn't come out as well as I had hoped. It wasn't terrible, like I'm sure I've made worse, but it was definitely not something that I want to put into a $3,000 computer. It wasn't that good. So decided, I was like, well, I'm just gonna try something else. What I thought about, what could I try that would play to my strengths? Because I'm a designer and illustrator, you know, by trade. I've been doing it for over a decade. How can I use those skills to actually get something that I want and that looks good? And I thought, oh, I know, I'll get someone to CNC route me a piece of acrylic that I can then just put into the case, because I can design it easy enough. But the problem is, when I decide to make the design, how do I translate that into something physical? So out of all of the places that I found here locally that would do CNC routing and all the maker spaces that I found here, yeah, no, wasn't gonna work. Was not gonna work. All the maker spaces were either you had to be enrolled in the school that they were a part of, or that their monthly fees were hundreds of dollars, and there was, you know, no getting around it. I didn't know anyone with a laser cutter or a CNC machine. Actually, that's a lie. I do know one person that has a glow forge, but they don't like cutting plastic because they put their glow forge in a very small room and plastic stinks. And glow forges can't cut very thick material unless it's wood. So I was like, well, that's not gonna work. The companies I contacted, of the 3 that I could find locally that actually did CNC routing, one actually even got back to me, and that one company's response took so long. Just from the initial response, it was like 2 weeks just to get a response back, and then after that it was maybe 4 to 5 days for the other like 2 responses. each, and I was just like, I don't have time for this. Like, if you don't want to do business, that's fine. Like, I'll just move on. Thankfully, Google and Facebook are always listing, and I started getting ads on Instagram for different companies that could do laser cutting. One of those companies was SendCutSend. I took a look at the website, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, I can just design something in Illustrator, send them the file, and they'll laser cut it and send it back to me. And they have an online uploader where you can see your files and get an instant quote. I was like, yes, this is exactly what I needed. And so with that, I definitely set out to make all the files in Illustrator and get them all designed and perfectly fit, so I could just send this company my AI files and have them send me back some precise laser cut part. The actual process of working with SendCutSend has been amazing. Going over the website, there are a couple of things that you definitely need to know if you're going to use the site to make anything for your next case model, just in general. First things first, design to scale. If you need something that is 4 inches by 2 inches, design it to be 4 inches by 2 inches. Don't design small and then say, hey, can you guys blow this up like the 200% or something? Nope, not how it works. You have to design to the scale that you want. If you send them a small design, they will send you back a small part. And if it's too small, if you needed it like twice as big as it is, you should have designed it bigger. Secondly, there's something that they talk about on their website that's called dross. And it's a buildup of atomized metal from the laser cutter. Basically what it looks like is metal that needs to be like burring. So like when you deburr metal, you take off all the filings and crap, or you deburr like plastic or like acrylic tubes for a hard line. You have to like take that little that thing and like smooth out the edges. That's deburring. And dross is basically that, but hard. They talk about on the site that, you know, expect to have some on your parts that you get. The thicker the part, the more dross it'll have. Normally it's stuff you can just, you know, push off, or at least so I thought. There's gonna be stuff that I could just push off. Not the case. These two like square brackets that I made for my camera's AC power brick definitely have dross buildup on them, and it looks like you could just push it off. And I tried, and I tried, and I tried. It does not push off. Tried sanding it with 200 grit sandpaper, or 220. So I tried sanding this with sandpaper that was not fresh, and then I went and got a fresh sheet of 220 grit sandpaper, and it sanded off quite nicely. It left a very slight chamfered edge. If you're in a rush, you can use a rotary tool, but you'll need to be very careful, as A, you will get a much wider chamfered edge, and B, it is much easier to nick the metal. If you do have any kind of scuffs or nicks when you're done, just take a piece of 500 grit or higher sandpaper and just sand the entire thing down. You'll get a very nice polish on it, and you'll be able to at least hide a little bit better some of those nicks. The available size, because all the parts that I got, which were a motherboard tray, motherboard armor, nameplate / name badge for the case, and the brackets for my AC power brick for my camera, plus these other small bits for holding up parts of the water cooling, could all be fit, and I want to say about a 24 by 24 inch space. The maximum size parts you can get are 48 by 120 inches. So that's 4 feet by 10 feet. It's huge. Like, it's so, I mean, maybe if I were making signs, but I don't think anyone that is going to be watching this as it pertains to making computer parts, yeah, you're probably not going to need something that big, you know, just not, no. But you can do it. Now, they also offer laser engraving, and that is a much smaller size for the maximum. So that you can only get up to 2 feet by 2 feet, 24 inches by 24 inches. Metals. So let's talk about metals, because there's a lot of metals that you can choose from. So available metals are, you can do aerospace grade aluminum, regular aluminum, brass, cold rolled carbon steel, copper, core 10 weathering steel, hot rolled carbon steel, stainless steel, titanium, and there's also a high carbon steel. Like, that's a lot of different metals. And knowing which one to choose, I mean, will really just depend on your budget, but also like, how much weight do you want this to be? Because a 1/4 inch of steel is way heavier than a 1/4 inch of aluminum. For the big motherboard tray and the power brick holders, those are both made from 1/4 inch aluminum. Everything else I got was 1/8 inch. And the 1/8 inch stuff is honestly, it's so strong. I was like, I could have just gotten everything made out of 1/8 inch. Like, this is incredibly strong. Once I had all my parts designed and I knew that they were going to fit, I decided to actually use the uploader just to see how much the stuff was going to cost. If the uploader fails, it will just tell you like, hey, send us an email, and so we can actually give you a custom quote. My one gripe with SendCutSend, please guys, fix your uploader. So it's not broken. The uploader will work. The problem with the uploader is with the units of measurement. So when you upload any file, like any AI file or any EPS file or whatever, it will default into inches. So like, let's say I upload my motherboard tray with the other 2 pieces in it. It'll tell me that it's 16 point blah, blah, blah inches by 18 point whatever inches. Now, I didn't design in inches. I designed in millimeters because it's easier to deal with whole numbers than to deal with decimal points that are 6 spaces out. And when you switch from inches to millimeters is where the problem happens. So what happens is that instead of it actually converting your measurements over to the new unit of measurement, so converting 16 point whatever by 18 whatever into whatever that is in millimeters, it literally just switches the units of measurements. So 16.1 whatever inches becomes 16.1 whatever millimeters. Those are wildly different sizes. And if you design in millimeters because it's easy, you're just gonna have to hope that it's right. I mean, that's what I did, and I am so thankful that it actually did come out right. But if it didn't, like, I'd have been like, what? I don't know. There would have been no recourse for me to actually fix this. So please SendCutSend, fix your uploader. That is the only issue that I actually had this entire experience. That being said, because I wanted laser engraving, I did have to go through the custom quote route, which was great. Like I said before, I don't actually know if I did say it before, but customer service with SendCutSend has been amazing. I mean, response times, generally speaking, they were waiting on me to respond because I was like, oh, I'll send them an email and then I'll probably hear back from them the next day. Nope. It was definitely send them an email in the morning. I was getting a response by lunch, and having multiple emails back and forth throughout the day. I was like, wow, like these guys are on it. Just like knowing that was being taken care of, like that feeling like, when you're being taken care of, and you're like, okay, like you feel okay spending money. Speaking of money, all of my parts all in, so that's motherboard tray, the 3 pieces for the motherboard armor, the laser engraved nameplate, power brick holder, along with some other bracket pieces. Everything all in was $167 shipped. Shipping times will change depending on where you're in the country. Again, this is Reno, Nevada. Balls. This is Reno, Nevada that's coming from, and I'm on the East Coast. I'm in the Cackalack, right? Your shipping times will vary. If you're out in Cali, this will probably get to you a lot faster. And when it shows up, like, you get a package. This thing was heavy. It's not very thick, but it's heavy. So as you can see, I don't even know if you can hear me. As you can see, it's actually packed really nicely. Vacuum sealed to this white sheet. This like the pegboard looking stuff. This is just cardboard. So we're gonna post. So that's the design I made with the channel logo on the top and the name and like, yo. But like the parts in it, like, everything came out exactly how I designed it. There are still errors in it, but those errors are my fault and not SendCutSend. So there's still some stuff with the motherboard armor, especially with the PCIe slots, the little, I don't even know what it's actually called, like the little tab that holds in your graphics card or whatever, there's that little flippy tab. I didn't design the PCI slots big enough for that tab to fit through. So I either have to cut the tab or cut the actual armor. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I thought about cutting the armor, but now that I'm actually saying it out loud, like that armor, like I don't know if I really want to cut it, so I might cut the tabs. There are also I think there's like 2 fan headers that I actually forgot to make cutouts for, so I'm gonna have to make cutouts for them because I don't want to short out the motherboard on the back of the aluminum plate that's on top of it. I think that's it, actually. I think that's all I forgot. Speaking of shorting out, because it's metal on top of a piece of metal, I did actually also grab a can of black plastic dip that I'm going to plastic dip the entire back of all the motherboard armor pieces, so I don't have to worry about shorting it out. Also, I'm going to plastic dip the back of the motherboard tray, that big piece, and plastic dip that with black as well, just to make sure that I can't short anything out on that either. Working with SendCutSend to get these pieces done, I didn't know this service existed until I got that ad. And now that I know that this service exists, like every time I want to do a case mod, I'm just going to go to them. If it's something that I can cut out, using a different material, like whether it's going to be wood or acrylic, I'll do that myself. But anything having to get cut in metal, I'm just going to design and send it to SendCutSend. Like it is so easy. If you don't know how to design a part, I don't really know what to tell you. Like, I mean, hit me up, maybe I can, I'll try and help you out. But yeah, working with SendCutSend has been a dream that I didn't know that I wanted. But now that I've had it, like, going there all the time. Officially, SendCutSend gets a Marduk report rating of pre-order. I don't even know how you would pre-order a service from a company, but like, yes. As soon as this video is done, if you're thinking about getting parts made for a case mod that you're working on, this is the way to go. Thank you all for watching. Do stuff down in this corner, preferably with the thumbs up rather than the thumbs down. Subscribe, share. Let me know what you would do with this service. Go call your mother, and I will talk to you in the next one. Peace.